Welcome, friends. We continue to advance as a discipleship group and present the group meditation stages 1 and 2 as the first in this series of essentials in forming and maintaining group alignment and integration as we move forward together in this very important entry into the new age and the influence of the seventh ray.
We vision. Our aim is to embody spiritual discernment, practice positive harmlessness, and eventually achieve a state of divine indifference as we dispel illusion, dissipate glamours, devitalize maya in all our relationships. I would point out that the two greatest revealing agents who have ever came to Earth within the range of modern history made the following simple revelations to humanity. First, the cause of all human suffering is desire and personal selfishness. Give up desire and you will be free. Second, there is a way of liberation and it leads to illumination. Third, it profits a man nothing to gain the whole world and lose his soul. Fourth, every human being is a son of God. Fifth, there is a way of liberation, and it is the way of love and sacrifice.
The potent vibration of desire was evoked by men who were as yet without any spiritual vision of any kind. They were purely material in their instinctive reactions, and rightly so at that particular time. And these reactions attracted the attention of certain purely evil energies or beings. These beings availed themselves of the situation in order to satisfy their desire for power, again a distortion of the will or first aspect. Thus, the Black Lodge was founded. It fed upon human desire and resembled a vast, overshadowing vampire. It vitiated human living and increased the growth of desire far beyond normal expectancy or hierarchical planning, thus creating false goals and standards, building a barrier between the lowest planetary center, humanity, and the middle point or center, the hierarchy.
In the meantime, the human being is first of all driven by desire, then by aspiration towards some vision goal, then by his selfish will, which reveals to him the nature of the will, persistent application to some purpose, seen as desirable, and to which every power is bent. Having exhausted all tangible goals, the inner life forces the man on towards the intangible, and the quality of his will begins to change. He discovers a larger will than his own and begins slowly to identify himself with it, proceeding stage by stage from one realized purpose to another higher one, each step removing him further from his so-called will and bringing him nearer to an appreciation of the significance of the divine will or purpose.
Breathe deeply and easily, effortlessly, establishing your center in your physical body and allowing the etheric body to interpenetrate as you align your centers As Master DK reminds us so often in his series, the Blue Books, as we call them, for your point in evolution, with the rays in your makeup, active and influencing your current state of integration. In the words of disciple Roberto Assagioli, FDC to us, from the Discipleship in the New Age, volumes 1 and 2, who wrote so extensively about the will, we affirm silently, as he suggested, but with the highest aspiration and the highest intention. I have a body. I am not my body. I have emotions. I am not my emotions. I have a mind. I am not my mind. I am the soul. Now sense this soul contact and send a line of lighted energy to the heart center of your serving group, seeing each one in the circle of light, illuminating the group field of service, and then sound as a soul with this alignment of your centers.
I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love of the one soul pour forth to all. May the energy of the one soul lift and aid all. May the thoughts which the soul creates reach and encourage all. May the energy of the divine self be spread abroad in our hearts, through our groups, and throughout the world.
You have, therefore, certain words which are concerned with the method whereby the vision is accorded and revelation given. 1. Ambition, implemented by determination. 2. Aspiration, implemented by devotion or one-pointed attention. 3. Revelation, implemented by the will in its two lower aspects. 4. Realization, implemented by the will in its highest aspect. That briefly is the evolutionary story of the initiate in good standing, and it is basically the story of the will to self-betterment, the will to human service, goodwill, and finally, the will to good.
We gather in our groups to serve humanity. We release ambition that has given us the stance of using aspiration beyond an individual focus to a group focus. And with devotion, we move forward and one-pointed attention. In this process of moving forward together, we must attend to certain alignments as a group. And we do so that we can move together through the points to revelation and the ability to implement the will in its two lower aspects, catapulting our groups and service to ever greater states of realization. And finally, the ability to access the will in its highest aspect on behalf of humanity to meet the current need. We are beyond the will to self-betterment, and we are using the will to human service, goodwill, to move forward together.
In the early days of the probationary path, selfish aspiration is foremost in the consciousness of the aspirant. However, as he treads the path, and likewise the path of discipleship, he leaves all such motives behind, a minor renunciation, and his one aim in seeking liberation and freedom from the three worlds is to aid and help humanity. This dedication to service is the mark of the hierarchy.
Today, aspiration provides a constant source of anxious questioning, of painful deliberations, and of high voltage spiritual ambition, with consequent limitations and moments of sensed failure and lack of achievement. The Master has left all this behind, knowing that even this so-called spiritual responsiveness is a form of self-centered attitude. Eventually, and disciples should take courage and hope from this statement. All this agonizing reaction to the spiritual urge will be left behind. Let's pause and note where we each are and where our groups are in this progression. Ready to serve humanity, continuously working to improve the individual attitude and transcend any limitations. We work together and achieve group fusion by meditating as a group.
In the early days of the probationary path,
The growing aspiration of the masses is also drawing the masters closer to humanity than ever before. This is an instance of the ability of the initiate consciousness to function on initiate levels and also in the three worlds simultaneously. Of this, the dual activity of the mind is a symbol, acting as it does, as a common sense, and so dealing with all matters in the three worlds, and as the spiritual mind at the same time, dealing with all matters connected with the soul, with light and illumination.
And yet we need to stand together and consider the dangers involved.
The dangers of meditation are largely the dangers of our virtues, and therein lies much of the difficulty. They are largely the dangers of a fine mental concept that runs ahead of the capacity of the lower vehicles, especially of the dense physical. Aspiration, concentration, and determination are necessary virtues, but if used without discrimination and without a sense of time in evolution, they may lead to a shattering of the physical vehicle that will delay all progress for some one particular life. Have I made my point clear? I seek but to bring out the absolute necessity for the occult student to have a virile common sense for one of his basic qualities, coupled with a happy sense of proportion that leads to due caution and an approximation of the necessary method to the immediate need. To the man, therefore, who undertakes wholeheartedly the process of occult meditation, I would say with all conciseness,
A. Know thyself. B. Proceed slowly and with caution. C. Study effects. D. Cultivate the realization that eternity is long, and that that which is slowly built up endures forever. E. Aim at regularity. F. Realize always that the true spiritual effects are to be seen in the exoteric life of service. G. Remember likewise that psychic phenomena are no indication of a successful following of meditation. The world will see the effects and be a better judge than the student himself. Above all, the master will know, for the results on causal levels will be apparent to him long before the man himself is conscious of any progress.
Master DK gives us some beautiful formats for meditation and lays out the steps. In doing these with regularity, studying the effects, and proceeding slowly and with caution, we can each know ourselves and work together towards fusion as a group, as the true spiritual effects will be seen in our exoteric life of service.
Meditations 1 and 2 from Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2.
In using meditations 1 and 2, we have learned how to lift the solar plexus to the heart in group formation, which, as DK tells us, in group meditation is intended to produce coherent relations and a conscious group interplay.
This dual meditation is a group meditation and will have primarily a group effect. This meditation is one of the most important of the steps I shall ever ask you to take in these early preparatory stages of your work.
To the energies which he has generated within himself, the disciple learns to add that of the group which he has attempted to serve with love and understanding. All disciples of any standing gather around them, the few or the many, that they have found themselves able to aid. The purity of the energy generated by this group depends upon their selflessness, their freedom from authority or the control of the disciple, and the quality of their spiritual aspiration. Our immediate concern is the bringing about a group unity rooted in love, and this requires the awakening of the heart center into greater potency. Only from the heart center can stream, in reality, those lines of energy which link and bind together. Your group meditation or form will stimulate the heart into action, linking the heart center between the shoulder blades to the head center through the medium of the heart center, which is found within the head center, the thousand-petaled lotus. The heart center in the head, when adequately radiatory and magnetic, will relate you afresh to each other and to all the world. This again when connected by an act of the spiritual will to the solar plexus, will help to reduce that telepathic interplay which is so much to be desired and which is so constructively useful to the spiritual hierarchy, provided it is established within a group of pledged disciples dedicated to the service of humanity. They can then be trusted. The activity of the heart center never demonstrates in connection with individuals. This is a basic fact. What devastates most disciples is the solar plexus ability, when purified and consecrated, to identify itself with individuals. The heart center cannot react except under group impetus, group happiness or unhappiness, and other group relations.
The meditation is divided into two parts. Stage Meditation 1. A stage wherein there is a lifting of the energy of the heart center to the head by means of directed, controlled aspiration, deliberately stimulated, mentally appreciated, and emotionally propelled. Stage Meditation 2. Next, the deliberate dispatch of spiritual energy to the solar plexus through an act of will. This will result in the awakening of the hitherto quiescent point of force, which lies behind, or rather within, the active and awakened center. One, we begin with reflective alignment of soul and personality, using the creative imagination in the process. This is a feeling or astral activity. 2, mentally assume relation of solar plexus, heart, and head, and the focus of the assuming consciousness to be in the region of the ajna center. 3, when achieved and realized, concentrate aspiration and thought in the heart center, imagining it to be just between the shoulder blades. It must be recognized that the concentration of thought energy is definitely there. Four, now with a conscious and pictorial or imaginative withdrawal of the heart's aspiration, life, and devotion into the center above the head, the 1,000-petaled lotus, focus the consciousness there. 5, when the conscious recognition of place and activity is being gently yet surely held, sound the sacred word, Om, very softly, 3 times, breathing out and towards the soul, the hierarchy, and humanity. These 3 recognized factors now constitute a definite and linked triangle of force.
6. Say with heartfelt intent, the sons of men are one and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate, and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all men love.
Locate the 2 points of vital light within the solar plexus center. One of these points of light is connected with the lower psychic and astral life, and the other is brought into livingness by the inflow from the head center, one most ancient and awakened, being expressive of the life of the astral or lower psychic body, and the other waiting to be brought into conscious activity by the soul.
With the focus of the consciousness in the head, summon the will to your aid, and by an act of the will, carry the energy focused in the head to the solar plexus. To facilitate this process, vision pictorially, focusing, I am the soul, and also love I am. Above all else, I am both will and fixed design. Demanding, my will is now to lift the lower self into the light divine. This light I am. Descending, therefore, I must descend to where the lower self awaits my coming. At wanting, that which desires to lift and that which cries aloud for lifting are now at one. Such is my will.
Pause here and endeavor to feel and sense the initiatory vibration or embryonic interplay which is being established between the awakened and the awakening points within the solar plexus. This can be done, but it involves an act of slow concentration. Then, sound the Om twice from the head center, knowing yourself to be the soul, which is breathing it forth. Believe this sound, carried on the breath of will and love, as capable of stimulating the solar plexus in the right way and able to transmute the lower energies so that they will be pure enough to be carried first of all to the awakening point, and from that point, eventually to the heart center. As you vision the energies of the solar plexus being carried up the spine to the heart center, situated, as you know, between the shoulder blades, breathe out the Om again into the solar plexus. But this time, having done so, draw the focused energy up the spine towards the head. The vibration thus established will carry the energy to the heart, for it has to pass through that center in the spine on its way to the head. In the early stages, that is as far as it may go, but later it will pass through the heart, leaving its due quota of energy, and finally reach the head center. 6. Then focus yourself in the heart, believing that a triangle of energy has been formed between the head, the heart, and the solar plexus. Vision it then as composed of the energy of light, something resembling a triangle of neon light. The color of this neon light, so called, will be dependent upon the ray of the soul. 7. Repeat the mantra of unification. The sons of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all men love. Eight. Standing, therefore, in the center of the heart, see the energy of your group brothers as the radiating spokes of a great wheel of light. This wheel has many spokes, and at the center of the wheel, like the hub of the wheel, can be found your master. Then slowly, with love, mention aloud the names of each of your group brothers, not omitting yourself. Then see this wheel as actively moving and scintillating, and thus serving humanity through its focused radiation. This radiation is the radiation of love. We close with the Gayatri, with its emphasis upon one's duty. O thou who givest sustenance to the universe, from whom all things proceed, to whom all things return, unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet.
With regularity, the process becomes almost instantaneous. And this great line of energies is established within the group and within the greater group.
Thus, we have the transmitters of the life impulses from the heart of the central spiritual sun, so that we have a direct created chain of transmitting energies from the heart of the central spiritual sun to the sevenfold heart of the physical sun, the Buddhic devas, the central circle of petals, the astral permanent atom, the heart center within the head, the heart center.
Essential for group fusion and group integration. Remembering that the heart never expresses as an individual, only as group. The heart center is the organ of fusion. The heart center is the agent of the soul. The heart center is the monastic center.
The activity of the heart center never demonstrates in connection with individuals. This is a basic fact. What devastates most disciples is the solar plexus ability, when purified and consecrated, to identify itself with individuals. The heart center cannot react except under group impetus, group happiness or unhappiness, and other group relations.
Our immediate concern is the bringing about a group unity rooted in love. This requires the awakening of the heart center into great potency. Only from the heart center can stream, in reality, those lines of energy which link and bind together your group meditation. A form will stimulate the heart into action, linking the heart center between the shoulder blades to the head center through the medium of the heart center, which is found within the head center, the thousand-petaled lotus.
Unless the disciple learns that aspiration and self-discipline must proceed side by side, he will find that the spiritual energy he may appreciate and contact will only serve to stimulate the latent seeds of evil in his nature, and thereby demonstrate the exactitude of the truth that the great Lord taught when he pictured the man who swept his house, cast out 7 devils, and eventually was in a worse condition than ever. It is essential that aspirants should understand the nature of the lower man and should grasp the fact that every coherent system has its varying types of energy, and that perfection is achieved when the highest type of energy inherently possible dominates.
Where the ordinary everyday man is concerned, the propelling aspiration, if I may use such an unusual phrase, is of a material nature and concerns his successful progress in the world of everyday physical plane life. It might be wise to consider ambition as the lower expression of aspiration. This ambition covers all the many phases of the path of evolution, from the ambition of the raw savage in primeval times to gain food and shelter for himself and family, to the ambition of the modern businessman to reach the height of financial gain or power. Having achieved that goal, it frequently happens that on the way to the higher octave of ambition, aspiration, there may come a cycle of lives where the ambition is directed to the creative arts. Next comes gradually the transmutation of all these ambitions into a steadily growing and consciously spiritual aspiration. The man treads then the probationary path and eventually the path of discipleship. And as his spiritual ambition grows and is paralleled by an equally steady growth in mental realization, he passes from initiation to
A few simple suggestions I will give you. These can be useful to all sincere aspirants. In the ordered regulation of the life comes eventual synthesis and the right control of time with all that eventuates therefrom. In the right elimination of that which is secondary, and in a sense of rightly adjusted proportion, comes that accuracy and one-pointedness which is the hallmark of the occultist. In the right aspiration at the appointed time comes the necessary contact and the inspiration for the work that has to be done. In the steady adherence to self-appointed rules comes the gradual refining of the instrument and the perfecting of the vehicles that will be, to the master, the medium of help among many little ones.
For the majority of human beings, for the huge majority, the influences and impulses which emanate from the astral plane are a predisposing factor in all matters with which the individual concerns himself, apart from those conditions which, being imposed upon him from his environment and the period in which he lives, are, for him, unavoidable. The astral plane is a center of dynamic, emanating force, which is fundamentally conditioning in its effect because of the stage of the individual consciousness at which the majority finds itself. Men are swayed by the impulse of desire of a high or low caliber. This is, of course, a broad generalization, for that basic condition is becoming steadily modified by impulses coming from the mental plane. This necessarily complicates the problem. Influences emanating from the soul are becoming appreciably present and still further complicate the problem of the advanced human being. This problem of complication, if I might so call it, said he, constitutes a hard saying for the student to understand in relation to his own physical condition or to that of anyone whom he may be seeking to help. On the astral plane, there will also be found in every astral body 7 corresponding focal points through which energy can enter, raying forth then into the vital centers in the etheric physical body as 7 differentiated types of force. These types of force produce both bad and good effects according to the quality of the negative dense physical body. These differ according to the type of ray or force, and it may be interesting if I here indicate to you the good and the bad effects and the corresponding diseases, in the words of DK.
This is part of that tabulation given in Esoteric Healing on page 52. We're going to approach the problem of dissipating individual glamour in the coming year. This is a very good starting point in terms of trying to determine potential glamours that are impacting you as an individual. Master DK says that it is very important, maybe the most important direction for us now, to work on the dissipation of individual glamours, the fogs and illusions that humanity and each of us have contributed to on the astral plane. This is a tabulation that is a generalization, and he does say that the complexity of the human equipment and the intricacy of the ray energies are such that no hard and fast rules can be laid down. The ray forces manifest differently according to the ray type and point in evolution. But he also says that there's no contradiction here to previous tabulations. As we move forward together in supporting each other and using the group energies to support the individual process of dissipating individual glamours, one might look at the dominant ray force that is appearing in one's equipment and see if there is a relation to that lower aspect, and then look at the center involved and the higher aspect that can be achieved with the dissipation of the glamour of, for example, the astral force of the first ray, self-pity, or the dramatic I. And what can result is the higher aspect, the virtue of sacrifice and dedication of the I, the greater I, in service. Come back and take a look or go into esoteric healing and look carefully at this tabulation. And in future segments of this series, we'll look at the other glamours that are listed by Master DK in relation to the rays, always noting, as he does here, that there are no hard and fast rules, and that it is the complexity of the human equipment and the intricacy of the ray energies that we must pay attention to very carefully.
Let's look very briefly at a Master DK tells us of the importance of developing the use of the creative imagination to stimulate the opening of the Ajna center. It is in connection with this effort that the man discovers the value, uses, and purpose of the creative imagination. This creative imagination is all that remains to him eventually of the active and intensely powerful astral life which he has lived for so many lives. As evolution proceeds, his astral body becomes a mechanism of transformation, desire being transformed into aspiration, and aspiration itself being transformed into a growing and expressive intuitive faculty. The reality of this process is demonstrated in the emergence of that basic quality which has always been inherent in desire itself, the imaginative quality of the soul. Implementing desire and steadily becoming a higher creative faculty as desire shifts into ever higher states and leads to ever higher realizations. This faculty eventually invokes the energies of the mind, and the mind plus the imagination becomes in time a great invocative and creative agent. It is thus that the spiritual triad is brought into rapport with the threefold personality.
The effort to draw forth the intuition requires directed occult but not aspirational meditation. It requires a trained intelligence so that the line of demarcation between intuitive realization and the forms of the higher psychism may be clearly seen, It requires a constant disciplining of the mind so that it can hold itself steady in the light and the development of a cultured right interpretation, so that the intuitive knowledge achieved may then clothe itself in the right thought forms. It is for this reason that we are going to use the formulas that are given by Master DK in the process of moving together into the coming year and advancing as a discipleship group through each of the zodiacal signs, and partner or pair that with an effort to dissipate individual glamours by using the formula as a group to support each of us in dissipating, shining a light on the glamours and having those dissolve to free us to greater service and to assist humanity in moving forward in what DK tells us is the next 1,000 years to clear and purify the astral plane.
In the rigid disciplining of yourself comes eventually perfection. To the disciple, naught is too small to undertake, for in the rigid adjustment of the details of the lower world life comes, at the end, attainment of the goal. The life of the disciple becomes not easier as the gate is neared, but ever the watch must be more thorough. Ever right action must be taken with no regard to result, and ever each body in all its aggregate of detail must be wrestled with and subjugated. Only in the thorough comprehension of the axiom, "Know thyself," will come that understanding that enables man to wield the law and know the inner working of the system from the center to the periphery. Struggle, strive, discipline, and rejoicingly serve, with no reward, save the misunderstanding and the abuse of those who follow after. This is the role of the disciple.
The initiatory process between the first and the second initiations is for many the worst time of distress, difficulty, realization of problems, and a constant effort to clear himself, as it's occultly called, to which the disciple is at any time subjected. The phrase stating that the objective of the initiate is to clear himself is perhaps the most arresting and illuminating of all possible definitions of the task to be undertaken. The storm aroused by his emotional nature, the dark clouds and mists in which he constantly walks, and which he has created throughout the entire cycle of incarnated living, have all to be cleared away in order that the initiate can say that for him the astral plane no longer exists, and that all that remains of that ancient and potent aspect of his being is aspiration, a sensitive response to all forms of divine life, and a form through which the lowest aspect of divine love, goodwill, can flow without impediment.
The Master's interest falls into 4 parts. Let us consider 2 of these now, and the ensuing 2 in Capricorn. The first part, the aspirational intent of the man upon the physical plane suddenly succeeds in enabling him to make a soul contact. The moment that that takes place, the light in the head is momentarily intensified. From the old commentary, the point of light shines forth, it waxes and it wanes. The point becomes a line through the starting of a vortex, and from the center of the whirling force there comes a voice, invocative and clear. Second part. The karmic agitation of the man's life becomes greatly increased, and apart from his own individual karma, he for the first time consciously takes part in and shoulders a part of the karma of his group. This dual karmic undertaking sets up a veritable vortex of force in the group aura. This attracts hierarchical attention. From the old commentary, the one who sits in silent work, alone and unafraid, because the part is not alone and the group is unafraid, looks down, catches the light, reflects the whirling force, and hears the voice.
This karmic agitation and changing experience as each cross is mounted and experienced is expressed for us most beautifully in the 6th section of the Old Commentary. The cross of many changes, the mutable cross, continues with its whirling, carrying crucified thereon the form of a man in whom is found the seed of all illusion. We face crisis, polarization, and then the sweep of the wheel and the cross take us forward. Let us together make a commitment and dedicate ourselves to the dissipation of glamour, the dispelling of illusion, that we can help humanity move forward together in our group service.
This karmic
You will all awaken someday to the realization that the science of service is of greater importance than the science of meditation, because it is the effort and strenuous activity of the serving disciple which evokes the soul powers, makes meditation an essential requirement, and is the mode ahead of all others which invokes the spiritual triad, brings about the intensification of the spiritual life, forces the building of the antakarana, and leads in a graded series of renunciations to the great renunciation, which sets the disciple free for all eternity. That is one of the reasons why, when in training, disciples are absorbed into a master's group, which is integrally a collection of individuals who are imbued with the group idea and are learning increasingly to react to it.
Group intuition dispels world illusion. Today, the world is full of illusions, many of them veiled under the form of idealisms, emotional idealisms generated from the first, highest subplane of the astral plane. It is full of wishful thinking and planning, and even though much of this is rightly oriented and expresses the fixed determination of the intelligentsia to create better living conditions for the entire population of the world, the question arises, is there in the sum total of this wishful thinking enough of the essential dynamic livingness which will carry it down into physical demonstration and factual expression, and thus truly meet human need?
Let us make a commitment to move forward together. Let us remind ourselves daily to lift, as we are instructed, the solar plexus energy to the heart, to work in group formation. So let us close by sounding together the final stanza of the great invocation.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And so let it be, and help us to do our part.
If you're interested in joining us as we continue our journey to advance as a discipleship group in the coming year through the zodiacal signs. Please contact info@shapingfutures@gmail.com or put a comment in the chat on YouTube where this will be available. Thank you so much for your service. Let us continue together.